Wednesday. What's going on, everybody? Um, we're going to continue on this assisted living financial model. It's going great. We've got all of our development acquisition assumptions, revenue assumptions, staffing, other costs, uh, debt, and then we're going to get the monthly detail going. I don't know why Excel's being weird. It's bleeding over data from different tabs. It does that sometimes lately. Anyway, let's get the link out here. Hope everyone has a great week so far. Has a great. Okay, sound check looks good. We're there. Okay, so this model I'm doing now will be part of the real estate bundle. I'm going to add it to here. I'll also add it to the industry specific financial models, and it's going to be probably priced at $75. So, and don't forget to check out smarthelping.com for all your different financial models and spreadsheets. You can buy everything on the site for $9.99. You can go by category. I've got a lot of SaaS, PaaS, recurring revenue stuff, real estate models, all these startup models for different industries, um, joint venture distribution waterfalls, accounting tools, human resource trackers, personal finance stuff, Google Sheet, database architectures, a lot of great stuff here. Sales pipeline, CRM management, um, and then general valuation. Alrighty, so today we have monthly detail. So so we'll get almost all the cash flow items. We're not gonna do. We'll have to still add like capex outside of this. We'll have to add taxes, uh, terminal value, um, startup costs. Actually, we can probably add startup costs into here. That'll definitely be something we can add. And those final things won't be done until I get through with the actual financial statements, which are going to be based on the monthly detail essentially, and some other schedules, which is based on all of these development and assumptions we've been doing the last couple days. So the idea is we want to try to show somewhat of a, based on different things, what it's going to cost to get into this facility or operate it, buy it, build it, and run it based on all the different assumptions. So let's start with our first section here. So we want to show at the top of the monthly detail. Um, well, let's think. We can work top down as far as, okay, here's what we need to build it. Then we'll have something like room count by type. There's going to be quite a bit of logic, so let's just get into it. So first off, let's say we have development and or acquisition. So we want to say do we want to show? We can show each type. So acquisition cost, development, and then there's a couple other sections. If you want to use it, you can. Okay. And then these, so month one, we're not doing a month or period zero. We're just starting with month one because of the dynamic nature of development is going to take time. We're going to capture that time. If you're investing in this and you want to see a really good, accurate discounted cash flow valuation, we got to put it over the months. So year one, it might take a couple of years to develop it, and that's fine. The model can handle all of that, and you can start revenue after whenever you're finished with the development. All that's configurable. I'm probably going to do for depreciation for these, I'll probably do some percentage Could be 100% or some percentage that can be depreciated, and then that will be based on some useful life of the different items. And that's another reason why I have the sections separated out. All right, and we'll do we'll the easiest way I found is we're going to handle every negative cash flow is just going to be a negative, and every positive cash flow is going to be a positive, so that you can easily see what should be added or subtracted from the final cash flow. Okay. Oh, we don't want that in there. So development acquisition, pretty simple. We just drag that over. That's going to affect cash flow. Now let's check it. So 1850, 1850 is the grand total. And I could just sum up this, but again, I think it's important to show the totals of each section on the monthly detail. I don't think it's relevant to show every single item within this, but definitely the subtotals of each section. All right, so this looks good. Next section is we want to say, well, we got to think about this now. So for revenue, everything's going to start on the same date, whatever that date is. So you can define it here. You probably do this the month rooms open at the end period of whenever the development and construction is done. So let's see. I'm thinking about structure. So we have the total room count. We're going to have to granulate. Actually, I mean, all these are going to be different because they all have a different monthly price. Also, occupancy, all this stuff. So this is going to be pretty extensive. Let me think here. Well, let's just start with we're going to label this room type 1. And these could be rooms like 1 bed, 1 bath, 2 bed, 1 bath, 2 bed, 1 bath, 1 living room, etc. And there's up to 6 different types. So this is room type 1. And this will be the label that goes over to the detail. So type 1, type 2, type 3, type 4, type 5. Oh, I have 5. 2, 4, 5. Okay, so 5 room types, that's completely fine. So we have first room type 1. No, I don't want to spill, oh. Room type 1. First off, we have tiers of care. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So up to 6 tiers of care for each room type, and then we have a count. Room type 1, tier 1, 2, 3, 4. These are tiers of care. Okay, so now the trick is, so we want to reference the count of each of these against this total monthly price. And remember, the monthly price is based on the base monthly price for each room, plus an additional amount for depending on the tier of care. So we want to bring over this, but this is the max. This is the max room count that you can have. Let's think about this. Because we structure one of these, we can structure them all. So if this is less than our launch month, then 0. Otherwise, take this. And then let's see how this is going to flow. This locks and that locks. So we have 12 here, but we're saying, there's going to be some occupancy percentage. And there's an improvement in that. So if it equals 0, otherwise, if this equals our launch month, then do the revenue or the room count times 70%. Otherwise, do the previous month. No, we're going to separate this out. Nope, 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 nope. Clear this. Occupancy. So this has to be separate. All right, so if, let's just start at the first one. If the date equals this date, then I want 70%. Otherwise, we want the previous occupancy amount plus this, and then we'll do a max as well. Hold on. If C4, I want to do another one in front of that saying if this date is less than here, then 0. If it equals that date, take the revenue assumption percentage. And if not, then it has to be greater than it. And if it's greater than it, you can do the previous period's occupancy plus the percentage increase. And that has to be okay, so that's working. And that can't be so if this is less than that, 0. If it equals this, take that amount. Otherwise, and then here we do a maximum of that plus this, or 95%. And that's the structure. And now, so this can go down, that can go down, this can go down, this one can go down, and then there's 2 spaces in between. Okay. Oh, not max, min. My bad. Min. Because we don't want it to be greater than 95, but so if we drag this over, it'll go up by whatever percentage that's defined in the revenue assumptions until we get to a max of 95%. Now the increment that you go up by, this actually never gets to 95% based on going up by 0.2. Let's say it was 1% per month. Now we definitely get to 95% within, by month 20, well, 35. So this occupancy rate is what we're going to multiply the total monthly price by times the rooms. So they pay this amount, but only a certain percentage of these rooms based on the occupancy. Okay, and this looks like all our logic is sound. Let's see if we can drag this. So this has got to be locked. Then these can go down. That goes over. That can go down and down. Okay. So I believe we're good here by just dragging these over and across. Now to make sure, we'll make all of these different. So let's say 1, 1.1, 1.2, 1.3, let's say 90, 91. And then we'll go 50. Actually, first of all, let's start them all here the same and then make sure these are different. So we check that first. So starting at 50, and then each of these are different. One, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. So that's working. We also want to do, what if we change these? So different starting amounts. Okay, so that's working. And it's going up by different amounts as well. 1.5, 1.4, 3, 2, 1. And then the maximum is different, 90, 91, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so that's pulling everything dynamically and correctly, so you could adjust these to literally anything and it will work. We could adjust this. Let's say we wanted to start in April 2023. We're now in April. So occupancy for room, oop, I don't know what in the world I was spelling there. Occupancy for room type 1. Revenue for room type 1 for each tier of care. And we'll do the count over on the left here so we know this is the maximum occupancy. Alrighty, so here we then say our percentage occupancy times, oh shoot, we have another layer. We also have our increase in room rates per year. Okay, so how do we do this? So we got to go every 12 months. We're going to have to increase the base rate by 2%. So, which is fine. Let's go to validation to do this. And it's going to be the same rate for everybody. So we start with a base of 1. This will be our increase factor. And all we want to know is how much 1 increases over time based on that rate per year. And that multiplier then multiplies against whatever the base rate is. So this is year 1. Let's see, year base factor. We got 10 years. base factor, and then we just go, so in year 1 it's 1, it's just whatever the base start amount is. Year 2 is 1 times 1 plus the rate. And you can just drag that down. So that's the compounded rate. So we simply assign month numbers to these. So this would be 0. Month 13 would be the first increase. And then you go another 12. This is 25, and so on. So 0 through 12 is 1. 13 through 24 is 1.02, etc. And it's just compounding by 2%. And we'll do another decimal so you can really see there is compounding going on here. All right, so now all we need is the life of the facility being live. And since all the revenues, all the rooms start on the same month, whatever it might be, we can easily do that calculation up here. We'll call this months since live. And we do a simple count. So we go if our date here equals live date, that's period 1, month 1. Otherwise 0. And then we also add on to that if this is greater than this, simply count the previous month plus 1. What happened here? Global control C4, or C4 is greater than controls. So that's taking the previous period plus 1. Otherwise, if it equals this, then 1. Otherwise 0. Okay, this should be fine. So this is our count for the whole system. There we go. So it starts in April. And then we just count forward in time, and then that's our reference for the months live. And we could just actually do the factor revenue growth factor. And we could just do a VLOOKUP. I like to call this a soft VLOOKUP because we're not doing exact match. We're just matching. Oh, hold on. I'm going to have to do an index actually because it's not in the same order. So index rate factor based on matching the month live with this. Okay, and then lock here, here. Also, if C16 equals 0, then 0. All right, so 1, and then let's make sure this works. 13, oh, nope. All right, index, do we need to do a -1? Let's try a 1, nope. Let's try -1. That didn't work either. Index, let's see, it should be, oh, maybe because it's not exact. Let's just switch these around. Because I know the VLOOKUP will be very stable in this calculation. All right. So the VLOOKUP, soft VLOOKUP, we just go VLOOKUP the month here to And that should be just fine. So we've got 1, and then month 13, 1.02, 25 should be 1.04, 37, 1.061. Okay, so this looks good. 1.195 by the end. So year 1, then 2. Okay, this looks good. We'll underline this. Now we could also break out the base rates and all that, but then we're just, I mean, it's going to be so long of a spreadsheet. Let's see what we can do here. So first we want total room count, occupancy times, so the monthly rate times the occupancy times this. Now all this stuff is already taken into account. So that's actually pretty straightforward then. Yeah, that's fine. Like I could show the monthly base price and this price going up by 2% over time, but it's a bit redundant. We just know, look at this is the base factor. This is how much you can multiply the base factor by in any given time to see what it actually is for the room types if you want to see that. I might add it at the bottom or so, like in a schedule at the end, maybe to do a visual just to see it. I don't know, we'll see. But I believe this works. Oh wait, so we got percentage, room type, amount, and then obviously we got to multiply by the growth factor. Then we can lock this. A28 can go down but not over. C20 can go down and over. And here's our revenue. And we'll do some checks on this as well. Okay, so 17,000. Let's just check that. So we've got 12 rooms, occupied, 50% are occupied for the month. So you've got essentially 6 rooms, and they're all paying 2,900 a month, 17,400. Let's do one more. We'll do this one. So tier 4, tier of care, 55 times occupancy of tier 4 is 65%. So average of 35, almost 36 rooms, times revenue for tier 4, 1, 4, 243, 100. Okay, so that looks good. So these numbers make sense. Let's make sure it makes sense here. So we're increasing by 2%, or hold on. Is there any other fact? Oh, we're also increasing the occupancy. So that's going to be, it's not going to be directly a 2% change. So that's not going to be a way to do a sanity check on this. I guess all you can really do is make sure that this is multiplied by the rate factor here. Now you could check it just for this. I could just do 0% change. And then based on that, these should be exactly 2% different. There we go. So that makes sense. Okay, so we have room type 1 revenue. And we'll put this back in, maybe a 75% improvement in occupancy over time. All right. So looking good, looking good. Now we have to do this for all the room types. Occupancy, revenue, room type 1. Also, let's see, do we have anybody in here? Oh yeah, we got a couple people in and out. Very cool. I always forget to check for messages. Okay, there was none. All right, revenue from type 1 is done. Let's do, so now we gotta do the same exact logic, except for the growth factor and month live is not gonna change. So let's just go 2 under. So this is tiers of care, tiers of care. This can equal, this is always gonna be the same. So we can just lock that. Okay, and then room counts. So type 2, this is room type 2. Now we could do, I could do this as a formula, so it equals revenue for and then do an and here to get to the actual name of it. Oh, I gotta stretch my leg out. I'm all cramped up here. It's also really hot. I forgot to put the AC on. Okay. So this for room type 2 would be 14. So revenue, occupancy. So these are now dynamic and will change based on, watch, so if we go here and change that to 6. Oh, we got to put a space in after the 4. Now what this allows is if you're building this for your own situation and you want to know what the room types are here, you can say, okay, this is 1 bed, 1 bath. Usually it's just like 1B, 1 bath, something like that, or 2 beds, 1 bath. Now you can see here it says occupancy for 2 bed, 1 bath, revenue for 2 beds. So that'll be dynamic. That's a nice feature to have, I believe. So we'll keep that in there. Okay, so tiers of care. Da, da, da. Okay, so let's build out this for room type 2. So we have occupancy, which we need to start in row 14. So let's find that. So 12, 4, this is looking at row 23. We want 14. 14 and 14. So I should be able to drag this over. Okay, let's change these numbers up. We could just make it the same. as that and make sure it's the same numbers. It looks like it is. And we know it's a different reference because we're referencing row 14 here. And this is, or starting with 14, we're starting with row 6 here. So that's a good check. Okay, so there's that. Drag over our sectioning. I guess this is fine. I don't really have a better way to separate these other than just like a space. So now room type 2, we go this percentage times the growth factor, room count, and then we just got to change the revenue reference to 14 and then go down. I believe we're good to go. Okay, that looks good. H17 for tier 4. Yep. Okay, this looks good. So here's our rental or room rent. And this is very similar to it's similar to like a real estate model. You're charging rent for rooms, that's how you make money. And it could be mid to, assisted living, it's there's all kinds of debate I was reading on like what's long-term care versus hospitality like hotels. And so you could be in assisted living for like just while you're recovering from something, or you're going to be there until you're no longer with us or whatever. But it's really similar to just real estate financial models where you've got room rates, you've got some acquisition build costs likely to build a facility, and then I've gone pretty in depth with the staffing. This is way more in depth than you would ever do for a regular like a multifamily unit or something because you've got to staff the place. In it, you've got different medical professionals, occupation or outsourced therapy professionals, and all this. They work a little bit differently. So that was um, one area that's definitely makes it different than just a regular real estate model, but it still fits in the category, I believe. Now, it also could be that this, as an operator of the facility, you might not have any acquisition costs or any development, and you might just be renting the facility to another company that owns the building, and that's fine too. In that case, you would zero all this stuff out. You still have your revenue assumptions, your staffing, your other costs, all of that. It's just in your other costs, you would have just one row here that says rent, and that's your monthly cost for rent. So either way, it could fit into here. And if you did that, you probably wouldn't have any debt, so you could zero out percentage acquisition, development finance is zero, and you would zero out all this. And my goal here is obviously to make the most flexible model possible. All right, let's scroll over here. I just want to double check. Okay, this looks good. Just making sure 1918. Okay. Let's go to room type 3. 2 down. That starts in. Oh, wait, why do I have spaces here? That's kind of confusing. For the total, oh, there we go. we could also do a calculation here of rooms occupied. I think I'll do that lower though, because I don't want to clutter up this top section, but it just basically be the total room count times the occupancy for each type. Okay, so where was I? Room type 3 starts in row 22. So we'll drag these down. Let's see, 10 to 5. Room type 23. And you can see how slower is better with financial modeling in general, because I made sure all of this logic worked in the first tier and was going to be expandable. Oh, as I say that. Oh, 22. I read the wrong number, not 23, 22. So now when I go to update these other ones, it's faster now because I took more time earlier to make sure the formulas were locked right in the right positions and everything flowed good. Okay, that looks good. Then here we just simply change this to 22. And then we're done with room type 3. Now, once we have the revenue section done, we can move on to the expense section, which is going to be some similar stuff to growth rate for expenses, months since live. We'll use those numbers. Um, we'll have an expense growth factor that's separate than this. And we also have different expense factors, growth factors for staffing in-house versus outsourced agency staff. Let's see, just making sure these all look good. 10 to 5. Okay, great. So that's everything. Let's go to type 4, row 30. Just drag this, copy, paste. Let's start left to right. So this is row 30. This first section is the same. So there's our occupancy. Looks good. What did I say here? 30. Now, some things I want to check also as I go across here is making sure I drug the formula down before dragging it over here. So I just want to check. So 17 or 22, 23, 4, 5, 6. Okay, it looks good. This is 22. Good. Let's check the one we just did. 30, 31, 2, 3, 4, 5. 30, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. 14, 15. Looking good. Okay. All right, we're moving on. Oh, we gotta adjust this one too. The label. So 4, and then I think this is the last room type, which is in 38. 38, 8, 38, 38. Get it in there. down all the way and over 38. All right. Drag this all the way over. And having this granular data is nice. We can do a lot of different visualizations. I want to group these. As well, so you can condense it pretty easily if you just want to see the high level subtotal items. But before I do that, I want to put in total. So this will be total revenue space dash, then the space, and then for type 1. So we have those totals. And you can see how the numbers extrapolate pretty quickly. But you've also got to know the costs are going to be a lot. Like this staffing is going to be pretty high, so that's why the room rates are high. And again, this is why you run these feasibilities to see what makes sense. All right. Let's extrapolate this down to the different revenues. This will be 14. 22. And then we got 30 and 38. Okay, and then I can just drag these. These are all fine to drag across. Now, obviously, if the assisted living facility you're modeling doesn't have as many room types, you can zero these out. Let's just zero out type 5 real quick and just make sure there's no reference errors. Ah, well, I guess all you would really need to zero out is, well, first let's check. Okay, okay, perfect. So they're all, yeah, because we're not dividing by 0 on anything. So, okay, so great. So you could just zero out whatever you're not using. This won't be a factor because you're multiplying it by 0 room counts. So that's fine. Okay, good to know. So this is nice. Now we've got total revenue, total no, we got ancillary. And so that is going to be this monthly amount times the growth factor. And that's it. And remember, all these room rates are monthly. Okay, this works great. Let's give it a soft bottom border. Now, ancillary revenue could be just anything besides what you're charging residents for their rooms. And I just lumped it all together and made a simple amount that can grow with the revenue growth rate. Now we have total revenue. So all revenue items. We'll do a thicker border here. And it's going to be this plus all of these. Now let's match this up with here. So July essentially would be our start month because we're developing until then. Or maybe August. So we got some development, and then you can see everything just adjusted over to August. And we simply drag that over. So there's our revenue. So we're done with revenue. Pretty cool. Let's see what's going on over here. Oh, we got some viewers in today. What's going on, everybody? Hope everyone's having a great day of finance. Trying to build some bottom-up assumptions here for assisted living facility pro forma. Oh, I was in the middle, so we added that. I'll need to group all these together as well. So if you want to condense it all and see just a couple of the high-level line items, it'll be easier to read. But you can also dive in to see how each number is being come up with. So now if I just hit the little 2 up here, or 1, excuse me, need some water. Oh, and I dropped it on the floor, and I can't get up because I'm laying in bed doing this. If you didn't know, back in November, December, I had a huge back issue, and it basically prevented me from working at a regular desk. Because I used to stream with a cam and all that for a little bit, but I couldn't. Now I got a sleep number, so I work like sitting up, but it's the only way my back can handle like multiple hours at a time working. And now I've just dropped my water off the end of this little desk thing I've got here, and I am not getting up for that. So here we are. All right, so now if I condense these down, you can see total revenue for each type, and then it's easier to just digest what's going on. And we can expand it back out by hitting the 2. Okay, so we've gotten revenue. Everything here is now taken into account dynamically. You could change anything on these little boxes, and it all changes. You can also adjust the start month of revenue. So that's good. Progress. Um, Now for staffing, we got a lot of staffing stuff, but we got to put this in here because if you're going to build this model, if you're going to start or run one of these things, all of this has to be taken into account because you can't be, starting an operation that's losing money every month and just bleeding. So you have to charge the right room rates. It's going to be informed based on what your costs are and general things about the facility, how nice it is, all those kind of factors. And you got to make sure the numbers work before you even pull any triggers about anything. So this is why this model is so important. And we got a really, really granular cost schedule here. This is really good. Well, it's Wednesday. We've been going for about 50 minutes. Uh, if anybody, if anybody says something in the chat, I'll start on the staff. If no one's gonna say anything, I am probably gonna go be done. So do you guys want me to continue for like another 20 minutes, or are we done for the day? and I'm watching. You should be able to type in the right hand side of wherever you're watching. There should be a chat box or something. And if not, we'll start on this tomorrow. Tomorrow I'll probably finish all the expenses. We'll get into the other costs, and then those are the most time-consuming things. The rest is going to be, well, and then obviously the financial statements might take a couple hours. But these are really the most time-consuming and important things to get right because the whole model is driven off of these assumptions. All right, guys. Well, I am taking a break for today then. We'll get into the staffing revenue assumptions tomorrow. Don't forget, check out smarthelping.com if you want to see more models. I've done hundreds of things just like this. I've done a lot of stuff in the SaaS and PaaS industry, real estate, obviously, a lot of just industry specific stuff like franchise or licensing, equipment rental, car wash, general e-commerce, manufacturing plant, apple orchard, open pit mining, vending machines, self-storage, ad network, driving range, all different kinds of things. Uh, Joint venture waterfall distributions. Um, so check that out and feel free to browse. Ask me questions. I've got a new request tab at the top where I take requests. Um, you can learn more about me on the Me tab, see how I got started. Um, and, well, I'll see you guys tomorrow, I guess. 10 o'clock, same time.